Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we're continuing our ongoing coverage of the war between the Russian Federation and Ukraine. So today we are learning that the Ukrainian military operation that was designed to threaten Russian border towns and cities within the vicinity of Belgorod was much larger and more expansive than initially thought. At the same time, the tenacity of Russian counterattacks against these Ukrainian forces operating under the guise of the so-called Russian Foreign Legion. Again, these are Ukrainian actual military units. Now, they can call themselves whatever they want, but at the end of the day, they are not made up of individuals from Russia proper invading Russia proper. These are peoples living in Ukraine and possibly other Western nation states that have the ability to, at least some of them, have the ability to speak Russian, conducting military operations in Russia proper, southwest and southeast of Belgorod. Now again, the Russian response has been vicious against these forces. We have seen repeated video evidence of these units being decimated by Russian Lancet drones, long-range artillery, anti-tank guided weapons teams, what have you. These units have made very little progress in these attacks, as you can see here on our map, where some of the operations have taken place. Now, these are battalion-sized operations, again, probably meeting much more resistance than what was initially anticipated. Look, the Ukrainians did this before. They did this at the onset of the conflict, and they have done it a couple of times throughout the conflict as well. Each time has essentially met with disaster. So again, because of what is happening in other areas of the theater of operations, especially Avdiivka, west of Bakhmut, areas south of Orikhiv, the failed Ukrainian counteroffensive, that is why we are seeing these operations. They're designed to grab headlines and say, hey, look, this is what the Ukrainian military, or in this case, allegedly Russian nationals, are doing. They are trying to create the perception and or the narrative that there is some sort of direct internal effort inside of Russia that is organized enough to launch operations inside of Russia with its goal of bringing down the current Russian leadership, that of Vladimir Putin. Again, not going to happen. These units are, again, essentially Ukrainian units. These are Ukrainian military units. They are not internal Russian organized elements that have taken up arms against Russia. That is not what this is. Again, I would classify this as an attempted reconnaissance in force designed to grab headlines. And they have to create a perception, the Ukrainians, that they are having victories in some places. And this is what you're seeing. And unfortunately for the Ukrainians, it's not working. The Ukrainians, or those Ukrainian military formations that were used in this operation, took significant casualties. most of the units we're hearing have now withdrawn back inside the Ukraine. And that's kind of where we sit right now. So again, I believe we will continue to see operations much like the Avdiivka operation. Again, these very slow, methodical operations designed to take territory and continue to press the line of contact further and further west. The real goal of the Russians at this point is to degrade and destroy the Ukrainian military at the front. Again, as we've talked about before, the Ukrainians are having immense internal challenges in staffing its military right now. People, men, are not wanting to join, especially fighting age males in that 18 to 25-year-old category are not joining as they were before at the start of the conflict. Again, the Ukrainian military is getting older. It went from a very young army to a very old army fairly quickly, within about 2 years. Again, average age, early 20s, average age now, well over 40. That says something. So again, this is the Russian doctrine. They are bleeding the Ukrainian military dry. And eventually we're going to get to a point where we will ultimately see a general collapse of the Ukrainian military. It's going to happen. If something radical or very aggressive does not change, or something aggressive does not happen, meaning that either through direct Western intervention or there is some sort of Ukrainian operation that threatens to encircle an entire Russian army group, or there is some sort of large-scale maneuver operation, maybe towards Belgorod or in the direction of Kursk, something that threatens large Russian cities, possibly a move into Belarus. Outside of that, there's not a lot that is going to change this game as we see it. It's not going to happen. And again, because the Russians have an air force, because they have that air capability, because they have that defense manufacturing capability, and because they have 140, 150 million person population, puts them in an incredibly strategic advantage over the Ukrainians. So we're going to continue to cover what is happening on the ground. As always, thank you for joining us. More to come very, very soon. Have a good day.